All right, let's get right into it. There's a new standard making waves, especially in the automotive world. It's called the VDA AIQM, and it's a really big deal. It's the first real attempt to define what good AI actually looks like in quality management. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. It tells you what you need to achieve, but it pretty much leaves you on your own to figure out how you're going to get there. And that brings us to the core question, doesn't it? It's the one every quality leader is probably asking themselves right now. Okay, great. We have the standard. We know where we need to end up. But do we have the actual day-to-day process to make it happen? That's the exact gap we're going to explore. So this new AIQM standard, it's really smart. It basically says the conversation is over about if we should use AI in quality. Now, the only question that matters is how we do it safely, effectively, and in a way that we can actually prove to an auditor. It sets the destination, but it doesn't give you the map. Now, look at what the standard is actually asking for. It talks about validated approvals, structured risk management, controlled deployment. You see the pattern here, right? These are all outcomes. They're the end goals. The standard says you need a totally auditable deployment, but, it doesn't exactly hand you the toolbox to go and build one. And this is where we hit the real roadblock. It's what our source material calls the critical infrastructure gap. Think of it as this huge chasm between knowing what the rules are and having the actual real-world ability to follow them. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the non-negotiables from the standard. Make it auditable, reduce risk, make it trustworthy. Easy to say, right? But on the right, you've got the questions that probably keep quality managers up at night. How on earth do you build that audit trail from scratch? How do you actually get ahead of risk before the AI messes something up? And that is exactly what this quote is getting at. This infrastructure gap, this is the danger zone. It's the exact spot where promising AI projects go to die. It's where audits fall apart, and it's where all that hidden risk suddenly becomes a very real problem. So the big question is, how do we build a bridge over that gap? Well, the answer proposed here is something called Integrated Process Excellence, or IPE for short. You can think of it as the missing instruction manual, the practical, foundational how-to guide that's built specifically to close that gap between the standard's demands and what you can actually do today. So what exactly is IPE? Well, in simple terms, it's a method for taking the same level of discipline you'd find on a high-tech manufacturing floor and applying it to all of your business processes. It's like deciding to build a clean, organized, and measurable factory before you start installing a bunch of expensive, complicated AI robots. You gotta build a foundation first. And here's the roadmap. This is the how we've been looking for. IPE gives you a very clear 6-step framework. And this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a step-by-step game plan that takes you all the way from getting your team on board to making sure the system is always getting better. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, that big infrastructure gap, and we've introduced the proposed solution, IPE. But does it actually work? Let's connect the dots and see exactly how this framework tackles the specific challenges from the VDA standard head-on. Just take a look at this. The VDA standard is, rightly, very worried about bias in AI. Well, IP's architecture forces you to map out your key inputs, processes, and outputs before you even think about data, which helps ensure that data is representative. The standard demands auditability? Well, look at that. IP's steps 2 and 3 are literally define the process and document the process. You're building the audit trail as you go. And it's not just about the technical stuff. It's the same for the human side of things. The VDA standard points out that mindset and change are huge hurdles. Of course they are. People are scared of tech they don't understand. But what is IP's very first step? Create a positive environment. It's designed from the ground up to get that organizational and psychological buy-in right from the start, before a single line of code gets written. So what's the bottom line here? It all comes down to a really simple but powerful idea. You just can't bolt amazing new technology onto a weak foundation and expect amazing results. If you want a successful AI deployment, you absolutely must have a robust, documented, and controlled process infrastructure first. And this right here, this is the single most important takeaway. I'm going to say it slowly. Do not deploy AI on an undocumented process. Because if you do, it's like building a skyscraper on a swamp. Your results won't be auditable, they won't be defensible in a crisis, and at the end of the day, nobody is going to trust them. So, To wrap it all up, this is the IPE advantage. It's what fills that critical infrastructure gap we've been talking about. It provides the real-world how-to that the standard's what is desperately missing. It's about preventing failures by building the foundation first, creating that auditable, controlled environment where AI can actually deliver on its promises. And that really leaves us with one final and I think pretty challenging question to take back to your own teams. For just a minute, forget about all the cool AI models and algorithms. Just look at your own operations. Is your process infrastructure right now, today, truly ready for AI?